This is Usagi Yojimbo, one of the Menzian human rights activists, and it is now almost 4 o'clock in the morning Eastern Standard Time. At about 7 p.m. in Ottawa time, Professor Dr. Janice Fiamengo of the University of Ottawa was to present a lecture titled, "What Does Equality Have Got to Do with It? Men's Issue and Feminism Double Standards," to be presented on the campus of her own university. This was going to be presented as a live feed YouTube video that we would all be able to watch and listen to her live. Approximately 10 to 15 minutes into the start of the live feed, the lecture was disrupted.
That young lady over here, these two over here,
that young lady in the red
and these
shirt
two over
right
here.
there. That young lady with the cord over there. Yeah.
From what we're understanding, you guys are preventing the event from continuing.
Obnoxious enough to disrupt the speech before it even started. From what we were able to glean from the live feed, which is now archived on Studio Brulee's page, is that they were so loud and obnoxious they had to call in the campus security people. At that time, they pretty much shut off the room that the conference was going to be headed in, and they had to open another room in the same building to continue with the conference. Whether or not this conference was still going on or was still presented is up to debate, because we did not have a live feed from that as of 4 o'clock in the morning Eastern Standard Time. However, we suspect it has. If anyone who actually attended this seminar has video of that seminar, we strongly encourage you to get a hold of anyone at Men's Rights Sydney or A Voice for Men to help us show the lecture. Now, we suspect that this did go on because, according to what we are able to come across from people who know the University of Ottawa, if a seminar is the seminar and the free speech of the seminar is blocked by protesters to the point where security has to come in and they have to move locations, the protesters cannot follow the seminar as it moved to the new location. So that's why we suspect that the seminar has actually proceeded to go on. The protesters, which we assume are students of the University of Ottawa, would have gotten into disciplinary action from the university itself if they had followed the seminar into the new location. So we hope that it did go off, and we wish them the best of luck until we actually see a video from the conference. I'm here with Grumpy Old Man, another one from A Voice for Men. Sir, what's your take here on this? We've been working at this, at researching what happened here for the last few hours with a few other people here, and we've been able to glean quite a bit of information.
Yeah, it appears that they were successful in shutting down the first location, and with security was called and came and tried to calm down the situation. The campus agreed to allow the discussion to go on in another room. At that point, they were authorized to turn away students disruptive. Um, at that point, we'd have no live recording, but we do have a Twitter feed from a reporter from the newspaper there on campus, Spencer Van Dyke, and she gives us a good outline or a good synopsis of what happened in the subsequent room, um, where the talk did progress on, and eventually a fire alarm was pulled, and that room was vacated, and everyone had to evacuate the building. They were unable to turn off the alarm, and so the discussion seminar was canceled at that point. Now, the group responsible for disrupting the event is a group from campus called the Revolutionary Student Movement of Ottawa. We have done some research tonight, you and I and a couple other people, to determine what the feminist connection is with this group. Based on their Facebook feed, we see
of
that
their web pages that they have supporting their causes as
correct.
well.
Correct. So we don't see the exact direct connection, other than they're supporting the cause for the feminists, and this group is pretty militant. Based on the feed from the reporter from the local newspaper, Spencer, she indicated during the second room where they had restarted the discussion, she had observed that some of the students at Toronto during Warren Farrell's protest that were displayed on video were actually some University of Ottawa students that she recognized. So, it looks like a concerted effort of a group of people who are organized and trying to disrupt the events that the men's rights folks and the cafe folks are trying to put together. And that's kind of where we're at from my perspective. Thank you.
Since we saw the video itself from the protest, which we will have a link here with this video, and you will see interspersed with our discussion, is linked to the bottom of the page here. Also is the link to the Twitter feed of the reporter who was reporting on the on the conference as it happened, as well as a Storify link, which also shows some of the vitriol that actually has come out from this as well. Please feel free to peruse those at your leisure. Also, we will include the link to the original Toronto incident where Warren Farrell was speaking that was protested and actively and aggressively hindered an audience participation. So for those of you who think feminism is going to answer men's problems, it proves that they are not willing to even have a conversation about men's issues at all. They try to shut this seminar down not by debate, not by showing the faults of our ways if there was one, but by actively shouting you down to shut you up, to shut this conference down. This is censorship pure and simple, folks. This is what feminism has to offer men, is to force them into silence and keep them moving on. And keep them in their position of basically a slave.
People may wonder why this is going to be on Men's Rights Sydney's website and our YouTube feed instead of many others. And one of the many reasons that is that while this did not happen in Sydney, nor did it happen in Australia, the tactics our enemies use remain the same. They respect no borders, they respect no autonomy, they respect no free speech. It doesn't matter if it's Canada or the United States, they are the same everywhere.
Western Europe, Australia, Asia, they will still use the same tactics. It's the same tactic any tyrant uses to try to silence and keep themselves in power. Do not make any mistake. They are in power. They may say that they do not hold women do not hold positions of power, but they are the ones voting the people, the men, into those positions of power and twisting them to their wills.
We had, in the United States, there's a discussion about the association between the feminists and the social Marxist movement. From our perspective, from many Americans' perspective, the socialist Marxist movement, which this group in Canada ascribes to, and on their website, they are support of Marxist, Leninist, Maoists, and for us, our concern is these are groups that are attempting to overthrow our government. So, having seen this up in Canada, where they're using the feminist movement and attacking the men's rights with a political agenda, it reopens that question. Is feminism a socialist Marxist movement, and is their agenda to overthrow our government? Because it certainly appears that way when these groups come and disrupt our conversations that we have at our universities.
We do not want to silence our opponents by the tools they use, the tools of oppression, the tools of just shutting you up and not even allowing you to have a voice. We want them to have their voice. We want them to tell their side of the story, because then the way we will silence them and make them realize the folly of their ways is that we will debate them as civilized human beings are supposed to do. What they demonstrated in this video was not an adult way of handling things. This was childish. This was people saying, I want you to keep quiet and leave me alone.
A number of the tactics, Usagi, that they used is the PC techniques of trying to shut down debate. Obviously, with the men's organizations who are concerned with some of the issues with men in universities and suicide rates, obviously they're not the mainstream, and feminism has the mainstream conversation. So the uphill battle is because it's not a popular conversation of topic, that these radical fringe organizations come in and they can use current modern PC techniques to try to shut us down. And we heard that in the conversation in this in their protest. And that's a challenge to free speech, challenge to the notion that every idea and every movement should at least, if not internally, externally, challenge their fundamental idealism or idealistic ideas. Challenge those things, and that's the only way forward.
Yes, and the way to shut someone down who has opinions you disagree with is to show them where they are at fault. If we have asked time and time again to many feminists organizations that we are willing to have a debate. We were willing to have a formal debate. They are afraid to debate us in a organized forum. They would rather shut us down by shutting us up and shaming us into saying that we don't matter.
Right. I think it's clear by the tactics being used that we have some fundamental truths on our side, and the only recourse they have is to shut us down by other means. And hopefully that'll be exposed to the public.